DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, Intel, and Lenovo Legion.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here in the Great White North for the DreamHack ASTRO Open Montreal, a city with heavy French influence that has played host to the likes of the Olympics, the Canadian Grand Prix, and now DreamHack Open. We are at the Place Bonaventure in downtown as the cold begins to settle in with the changing seasons. We have gathered some of the 40 best competitors that professional Counter-Strike has to offer, and they are all here to grab their share of a $100,000 cash prize over the course of the next 3 days. I'm your host, Stunna. I will be here on the analyst desk alongside of my counterparts here, which you will be meeting in a second. But first, let me go ahead and introduce you to the sponsors that are making this happen. We've got ASTRO, we've got Monster Energy, we've got Zowie, we've got Corsair, Intel, and Lenovo Legion, who provided this sweet laptop right here in front of me. With that being said, let's go ahead and bring in these fine gentlemen to my left here. We've got Jacob Big Pimpin' Vinicky and Purple Haze Cobb himself. How you guys doing?
We're doing good, doing good.
Not too bad.
You guys enjoying a little Tim Hortons while we're up here in Canada?
I haven't had Tim Hortons yet. I've had it before, but not on this trip.
Not on this trip. I think there's always a special place for a little bit of Tim Hortons. It's become sort of that sort of staple, especially when we come up here to Montreal. Now the smoked meat, that's a different story. You have to have a little bit of that. But we do have a great amount of Counter-Strike to go over here for the weekend. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the groups and how this one's going to play out going into the weekend with the with Group B, which we will be starting off with due to Gale Force Esports having a little bit of trouble at customs at the airport. We'll be kicking this tournament off with Cloud9 versus Complexity, and then on the other side of things, Immortals and Luminosity. Flipping the page now to Group A, we do see those teams right in front of us where we will have CLG, Gale Force, Kingwin, and North. Now, some heavy hitters here, guys. Who are the teams to look out for going into this right away?
Looking initially at the group, you got to say North, coming in blazing hot from DreamHack Masters Malmö, where they had one hell of a tournament, especially with the new signing Valde. You gotta put them out as the favorites going into the tournament. Cloud9, obviously as well, hometown favorite, if you can say so in Canada. At least they have a little bit of relation to this country, right? So those are the two hard hitters, I'd say, and then obviously Immortals as well. So a lot of great teams here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think if I was going to choose two teams that I would see in the finals, it would be Immortals and North for sure. Even though Immortals have been playing with Zach recently, I think with their full lineup, which I'm assuming they have here, I've been told that they have here, I think they're a shoo-in for the finals with North.
Well, those are definitely the heavy hitters to look out for. When you look at this docket here of the teams that are attending, I mean, it's no secret. Definitely coming off of DreamHack Malmö North there. Strong team coming out of that. Unfortunately, didn't pick up the big W there. But going forward, I certainly think they have the rest of the year to look forward to. But we do have an opening matchup of Complexity versus Cloud9. Now, Cloud9 on the other side of a roster change, trying to find that groove. And then when we look at this team, Complexity, trying to find that stability as well. What do we know about these two teams, James?
Complexity. I mean, with the addition of Peter, the team has looked a lot better than they've ever been, I'll be honest. They've always been a team where they're middle of the pack, maybe even below average at times. But when Pete got picked up, they definitely improved big time. I think Yaster or Ye, I'm not sure what alias he's going by, but I think he is the guy to look out for, in my opinion, on that team.
Let's just ask this right away. What alias would you go by?
Ye.
Yay.
Yay.
Right away. What are you thinking?
I agree.
I think it's a clear case, right? I think Yay is the one.
Yaster is just weird.
Yeah, the stir at the end. It's kind of like, okay, you play that in Pugs, one thing. But Yay, that's where it is. I think it is. But certainly Cloud9, the favorite one going into this. Talk to me about the recent roster change and what it is that they're hoping to find in terms of a group.
I think they hope to find some sort of like guideline and stability in the way they want to play. Coming into DreamHack Masters Malmö, they changed their in-game leader, so it's now Tarek, which was surprising to a lot of us. I think that Stewie or Stewie 2K was no longer going to lead the team. The man in the picture right there is now the in-game leader of Cloud9, and I think they need to define the way they want to play with this team, because they have so much talent. Adding Tarek and Rush to this lineup after getting rid of Shroud and Nothing, it's two different players and two different types of players, you know. So definitely a lot more skill to this team. I think they just need to figure out how they want to use that skill, and you know, that's the toughest part of this game.
I think when we talk about bringing Tarek into the picture, we kind of have to also put into the equation, is this going to unlock Stewie to bring back him up into the potential player that he was going into before he became the in-game leader?
I think that was a reason for that move. I think Stewie, as an in-game leader, was performing incredibly well, but I think the idea is Tarek is almost peaking as an in-game leader, which is really strange. He's doing better than he's ever performed, I think. And if that can help unlock Stewie, I think that team will go a long way. It's just right now, I think they're, to be honest, I think they're kind of average right now.
I mean, just the other day in the decider at Malmo, we saw Tarek go some 23 and 17 KD as the in-game leader. Definitely a big part of the team's equation there. If you think about how important that is the IGL to have a fragability. It
seems to be a theme in NA in particular. I'd say like the same is with Immortals. They changed their in-game leader to Bolts now instead of Steel, and it seems like both Bolts and Steel like thrive better being the in-game leader on that team, you know. And it seems like it's the same case in Cloud9, you know. Whatever that is, it comes down to how the team plays. Often you have in-game leader who try to set up your star players, whereas before Cloud9 knew that their in-game leader was the star player, so he tried to set up himself, you know, for the good situations. And maybe Tarek has the same approach, and maybe that will work. And it might just take time for Stewie to find another role in the team, you know, so he can also like support Tarek being the star of that team. It's all something we have to see within the future and see if they're capable of pulling off.
Well, looking big picture, right? We've talked about Tarek. Rush also coming into the fold. What does he add to this team?
I mean, he's been touted as the greatest entry fragger in North America. I think you could probably say that's true. Consistently, at least, he's always putting up numbers. And from my experience coaching him recently and then also playing with him, I think he is, as what people say, he loves to go in first. He doesn't care if he dies. He just wants to be that guy that opens up the map for his team. And I think that's really good addition to the team, because then Stewie doesn't have to be the first guy in. He can be the second guy in, and everyone knows what Stewie's capable of. And if you give him an opportunity to trade and have someone open up a bomb site for him, that seems really dangerous. And
essentially, he thrives in those situations, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even looking behind the team, now we have Valens over there at Cloud9. Talk to me about what Valens brings to the table in terms of coaching and his past.
Well, Valens historically was an in-game leader, and he was always known for being very crafty and creative, especially around smokes and having very interesting little one-off plays. I'm not sure what he actually brings to Cloud9, because I've never talked to him about it, and I've never talked to any of the players about it. But I'm assuming he's just creating strategies and dry running and doing things like that. I can't really go in depth because I just don't know what he does for the team. That'd be interesting to ask him, though.
Well, okay, so looking at this, though, needing that sort of structure. What's up, young Stu? Welcome.
Question the show.
Stewie 2K, everyone. Don't worry, it's fine. We're not going to give him the red eye treatment, right? So, no. What a person! What a person! No, not pushing anybody away. That's not how we're doing things around here. Not this event. That was my past life, and I've given that up. So.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. I don't think it's funny, because I don't think anything I ever did before I pushed that guy mattered. I don't think anybody remembers. I don't think anybody cares. Hey, you're that guy that pushed the other guy. So hey. Anyway, we've talked about Valens. We've talked about Tarek coming into this team as the in-game leader and assuming that role. And currently, this team is sitting number 11 by HLTV.org. Is this where they stop? Do they climb higher? Do we see them grabbing a trophy here?
I think there's potential for it, definitely, especially going into the future. I think it will be a little bit too soon to have too high hopes for them. I still need to see if this whole Tarek in-game leading project is going to work out, because I still feel that there might be some complications and some problems that could occur, you know, having him as an in-game leader. So it's too soon to tell. I'd say like placing them around like 11th to 15th teams in the world, top team in the world would be fair to say in the beginning, and then we'll see if there's potential for more.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well. my only thing is I'm more harsh on the NA teams because I want to see them do well, and I think if Cloud9's going to do well, it needs to be at this event. They need to really step up their game, and at an almost NA-only event, they need to crush everyone. With the amount of talent they have to prove that they can be a top 5, maybe even top 3 team with the amount of talent they have. They just have to put it together. They have to put it together here, I think, honestly.
It's time for the show, right? It's time to say, okay, we've had a little bit of time in the drawing board. What are you going to do with it, right? But if we look at this team, what sort of tendencies can we expect? Are we going to expect sort of like, hey, are these guys going to get super aggressive? We do know they have that fragging capability, especially when you have a player like Skadoodle who can maneuver his way around the map and get really quick with it, really fast.
I think they have to be aggressive, and as Hayes said, they have to be, crushing everyone and going in with the mentality that you have to be aggressive and you're gonna crush people. That will automatically make you play a little bit more loose, which I think will fit Cloud9 a lot better than playing the more strategic game, especially having Tarek as the in-game leader. So for this tournament, I do believe that we'll see some I wouldn't say like too loose Cloud9, but a little bit, and definitely a very aggressive Cloud9 because they need to be.
Well, they certainly need to be. Let's take a look now at the other side of this bout. We've got Team Complexity, a team that has somewhat struggled to find their footing, I believe, in North America. Hayes, how are you feeling about this Complexity lineup?
Like I said earlier, I think they're on the rise. I don't know how high they can go as a team. That remains to be seen. But I think Android has been, in my opinion, their best player. He's seemed to be pretty consistent. I think Def has really big highs, but really big lows. I think if he can level off, that'd be good for this team. PTR is in the same boat, except as a primary opper, which is always dangerous for any team that they're going to play against because you don't know if he's going to drop 30 or drop 10.
Which is seemingly the plaguing storyline, I believe, for PTR. I mean, I know you're a former teammate of his. What is there to say about PTR here on LAN? I'm putting you on the spot. There it is.
You can't be doing that.
Hey, listen, I saw the tweets. You said we got roasting going on. I was promised
I was going to roast Tarek. I didn't say I was going to roast Pete.
I thought that the doors were open. Not we're roasting Pete.
I can't roast Dirty Peak Pete.
You're right. Dirty Peak Pete. Not just Dirty Pete. It's Dirty Peak Pete.
Yeah,
Let's make sure everyone at home is very, very understanding of that. But when you look at this lineup, Jacob, from a distance, what is your perception?
I see a lot of potential, and it quite annoys me because when I was in AA playing for Team Liquid, when I did take my adventure in Rank S, which I probably shouldn't have done too much, playing against those guys, they were sick. They're good players and they're good individuals, and it's like whenever they go to a server and play a 5 versus 5 game, that just that disappears for some reason. Also in practice, they played well. I guess you can testify to that. They usually played up against us in practice, but whenever we faced them, we felt that we were a better team, and we should be, right? But it's like there's something missing when they go into the official games. The potential definitely there, but they missed the belief in they can actually make results for this team.
Just from watching them in the Pro League this past week, it seemed almost that their routes and some of sort of the structure and the strategy was just a little lacking from where I thought it could be. But on the other side of it, I mean, you kind of have to look at say, why is that? Is it the in-game leader? Is it the coach? I mean, what is really going to make this team come together and mesh and succeed like they should?
It's hard to say. I think a big problem, and not even just with Complexity, I think NA as a whole, is kind of the mentality towards team play is I want to be a playmaker. Everyone wants to be a playmaker. There's not very many team players. A lot of times you see really aggressive players who open up a map for their team, but then throw it away because they keep being aggressive. And I think that's a problem that plagues actually Complexity, and especially with Pete, because he told me at the last EPL LAN, we had a long talk, and he said, I'm going to start being more aggressive. I'm going to start being the one that makes the plays. I'm going to stop holding back. And I was like, okay, hey, you do you, man. But
taking the fights.
Yeah, he's been really aggressive this season, and you've seen it, and he's opening up games for him. But whenever he has a bad game, he keeps being aggressive, and it puts his team in a bad spot. So I think if he can learn to level it off, it'll be good.
That's why you need like a strong team behind that. You can't have an ultra aggressive player like Pete if you don't have the team to back it up behind him. Whereas, for example, Cloud9, they can afford to lose a guy like Tarek or Rush entry-fragging because they have the team to back it up. And I think that's a big problem of why Complexity are not putting up the results that the individual skill of the team might face.
Now, the reason we have not started this matchup yet is because Automatic's just feeling just a little under the weather, and rightfully so. These guys have been traveling. I know the travel bug definitely sets in with quite a few players over time. It's a normal thing, the normal land bug. I suggest you grab the hand sanitizer. But let's talk about Automatic, because this is a guy you can't just brush over when we talk about Cloud9.
I mean, I think he was my #1 player in NA for at least 6 months. It was between him or Stewie. I couldn't really decide, to be honest. But super consistent, amazing aim.
Well, the vetoes are in. It is just about that time. Let's go ahead and take a look at those now. Where do we think this one's going to land, boys?
I think there's potential for a train game, maybe, unless Complexity is fearing the train from Cloud9 too much. I feel like we haven't really talked about the maps, but that's another part of this game. You know, both teams are coming off a break, both teams are coming off the roster change, and we don't know exactly where they feel strong on. That's something only the team that plays against them in practice can tell about, and the team themselves, you know, because you can easily change up a map pool when you change a player or two. Like it can redefine the way you think about the game. So it's to me it's interesting to see where it lands, you know, but I think Cloud9 would be happy with a train, and I think Complexity can play train as well, so there's potential for a train game.
And we see the Cobble band there. And again, if you're just joining us at home, I'm going to remind you to jump in the chat right now, use !C9 or Cole to get your votes in and find out at the end. Just before we go live, we're going to tally those up and see what the crowd at home is feeling. So there it is, Nuke Band. So it's looking like we're going to go the route of train. And historically speaking, Cloud9 having the upper hand here?
I would say so. I mean, Tarek and Rush on the old Optic roster love train. The old C9 roster love train. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me that this team loves train. And it was between that and Mirage for me. That would be the map that's going to be played. And it looks like it's coming down to it's train or what?
We're going to see it. It must be like either Complexity don't believe in themselves playing on one of the other maps, you know, since you're allowing Cloud9 to play train, because I would say that should be one of their strongest map reasons of why Haze just told you so. It's like it is new, you know, it's a new team, and there's so much you don't know, you know, so you're risking a lot of things in especially in the best of 1 vetoes, and leaving train in for Cloud9 is going to be a hard task for sure.
I mean, we look at this Cloud9 that was able to take SK to 16-13 on train in Malmo, so it, you know, on top of that, I mean, even if they're going through a roster change, even if they've gone through this sort of change, I believe that they're probably set up to find that groove.
Absolutely, and I think this is a map that you're going to see Cloud9 be really aggressive on, and they're going to attack, especially the outside bomb site. I know how they like to play. They love to rush stuff, and I'm not saying that as a pun. They love to be aggressive, especially on train. You're going to see Automatic and Stewie. They're going to be rushing down bomb lanes, and they're really going to be opening up the map.
So it's interesting you point that out, because if we look at this and we kind of say, okay, Cloud9 come in with that sort of confidence, that sort of poise, they could potentially just run over Complexity. And that's the scary part about this Cloud9 roster, is they do have that potential. They do have that sort of firepower that they can say, hey, well, we're just going to go, dare I say it, balls out and go for it.
Yeah, and that's where we're gonna need to see PTR play well, you know, especially on train with the orb. I think the tough part for Complexity on train is gonna be the CT side. That's gonna be the deciding factor, because if they can lock down Cloud9 to only get like 6, 7, or even 8 rounds, which is already a lot, you know, but that will be acceptable, I feel, for Complexity. They have a chance on the T side. As Haze said, they like to rush out the outer bomb side, and they like to change it up sometimes with also a guy lurking out Ivy. So there's gonna be a lot for Complexity to handle, and I think it's gonna be tough for them. But again, that's where you need PTR to close down some of that aggression and force Cloud9 to actually play a more tactical and waiting game, which they also showed a Melville they could. They could run down the clock a little bit, but I feel they're more comfortable when they just get to rush the outer bomb side.
Absolutely, they love being aggressive, and I think Complexity, their game plan needs to be either 5 rifles from the start and get close outside, get aggressive in their face, and stop Cloud9 from running them over, or they need to double op right from the get-go. And I like to see Yaster try and double op. I would love to see that. I know he has a good op.
Having a good op on train is a pretty big deal. Let's be honest. I mean, because if you're holding that Ivy side, if you're holding those lanes, it's if you have a guy like Skadoodle holding them, doing his part, it's kind of a force to be reckoned with.
It's going to be tough, yeah, and especially on train, it allows the AVP player, especially on the CT side, to be very versatile and very mobile. You know, he can go Ivy, he can go behind 6 train, he can go into CT connection, he can even go aggressive inside. There's so much room to play with the orb, and I think, you know, the best players they figure out how to do that, and I feel like again Cloud9 has the upper hand in having a Skadoodle who's been a primary orb for I don't know how long, you know, who has the experience to do those kind of moves.
Now James, you can attest to playing against Ska. Talk to me about it. Is it terrifying or is it terrifying?
It used to be very terrifying. Now it's not so much. He's still
hit or miss, maybe sometimes.
He's toned it down a little bit. He's gotten more aggressive over the years. Early on, he was just like a brick wall. He never moved, but he never missed, and that was he was the most frustrating player for me to play against in 2015. But in the later years, I think he's gotten more aggressive. But I also think he's starting to miss a little more, which is I like. I hate offers. I hate all of them. All right, just being honest. But Ska isn't that scary nowadays, but he is, still probably the best offer in North America, I'd say.
But pound for pound, can we expect Dirty Peak Pete to come out and say, hey, you know what, Ska, not today. We're going to train, and you know what, I'm ready.
On a good day, yeah. But as Hayes said, like it's only 1 out of 10 games that Pete actually goes crazy.
I could see it on your face, James. Look, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, the knife round, all of that good stuff should be done and over with. So make sure you don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.